This is going to be the best opportunity the Raptors have to get a superstar who wants to play and re-sign for us. Regardless of how much we all love Scotty, we have to do it. Welcome to Amateur Answers, the series on the channel where I read your comments and react to them. If you want one of your comments featured on next week's version of this series, which comes out every Saturday, then comment something down below. And while you're there, make sure you do hit the like button and subscribe for more Raptors content. First comment up here comes from @BarneyV. As a Raptors fan, he wants to see the Raptors make a trade for a superstar, the likes of, Giannis, who could be available, Kevin Durant, who could be available, and others. Now is the time to make that trade, because is this actually the best opportunity the Raptors have to land a superstar? There's a possibility it might be. The Raptors in this present point have assets they can use for a trade. They have tradable contracts and quality players on those tradable contracts. They can move Scotty Barnes as like the blue chip piece to make the trade, and they have complete control of all of their first round picks going forward. I think that if there is a desire to get that superstar in Toronto, I kind of have to agree. It seems like now is the optimal time to do that, before we have to have some conversations about, re-signing RJ Barrett. Maybe we get further down to Immanuel Quickley's contract. That can become a little bit more tradable. I guess the same could be said for Scotty Barnes, but it all depends on if you keep a hold of that draft capital. So we'll see. Certainly feels like a very good time to make that superstar caliber trade. I've been pushing for it. We'll have to see what the Raptors do. Next comment here comes from somebody who doesn't really want to see that trade happen. That's Crate Foot. It says, I feel we should leave the team as is. The two teams in the finals right now are proving you need a solid bench. I think the team as constructed right now gives you a solid starting five and a couple of good pieces coming off the bench, but I could be wrong. What do you think? So we are seeing that you do need depth, I think, to go win a championship. Like, you do need a bench. I know the Thunder have had some difficult series, but are we going to say, even in this ultra competitive Western Conference, if we worsen the bench a little bit by the Thunder, would they not be in this position right now? Would they not be in the NBA Finals? I don't really think so. You can have just an absolutely dynamite superstar player, and in this case, the MVP, and you can have really good supporting pieces in that starting five. But there's a lot of different formulas. There's no one perfect formula to make the NBA Finals. There are a lot of different ways to do it. The Pacers are showcasing right now that basically they have a lot of guys who can go off on any given night. Maybe it's Ben Mathurin like in Game 3. Maybe it's Pascal Siakam like in Game 6 of the Conference Finals. Maybe Tyrese Halliburton can go off in the fourth quarter of a Game 1 and take you over the line. I don't think there's a set formula to win. You do need a bench, but you also need top-end talent. And the Raptors is currently constructed. You're not wrong. It's a solid starting five with good piece off the bench. The Raptors as constructed are not a contender. If the Raptors were to make a trade, I think they would be a contender, which is why I'm pushing to see a trade happen. But I understand there could be a desire for a little bit of patience as well. Going back to the first one, is this the best time to make that trade? I think it might be, but it doesn't mean there won't be opportunities down the line as well. Next comment coming up, we've got Daniel ENQL8Q, Daniel, who says, this is the point. Why trade? You're getting only one player, and you give up several key players and your draft choices, which we need. He didn't bring the Bucks to the finals of the NBA Finals. He's talking about Giannis here. There may be a better deal elsewhere, even a key player. So this is a strange comment here because talking about Giannis, he didn't bring the Bucks to the NBA Finals. Yes, he did. And they won a championship with Giannis in Milwaukee. Now, I've said it before. You could probably say this about a lot of situations where, they could have gotten more championships. But the Bucks seriously were in position to win more championships in this era with Giannis. They had a lot of injury luck, bad injury luck, where Chris Middleton wasn't healthy or Giannis himself wasn't healthy, and they really could have had a chance of competing again. But it doesn't matter. They won a championship. Giannis did win a championship. He had 50 points in the closeout game of an NBA Finals to win his team the championship. He's very clearly a player, and he's still that level of player. He's very clearly a player that can vault you up to a championship. And I'm going to continue to say the Raptors, as currently constructed, can't win a championship. Not to say they can't, but very unlikely they will. They become much more likely and become a contender, in my opinion, by making a trade of this caliber for a player like Giannis. So yes, you're sacrificing an element of depth, but the top end talent puts you into that conversation to go to the next level. Good note here, though, from our next comment at Mando Guerrero 2, noting that Giannis has not requested a trade yet. Milwaukee can retool for a year as they have plenty of cap space coming in the next year. They're actually in a pretty poor financial situation. But anyways, I'm sure Giannis is willing to wait a year rather than go to a gutted team. So I still refuse to believe that the Raptors are gutted by making this trade. Like, there's kind of a couple ways to go about this. Like, you can do Barnes with like Grady Dick and Ochai Agbaji, and you bring Giannis in. Like, there's still like RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, Brandon Ingram, Jakob Poeltl, Jamal Shed, whoever I guess you trade the 9th overall pick, so you can't say that. Like, yeah, the bench is lacking, but like that's still a very good team. I wouldn't call that necessarily a gutted team. Or you can move, let's say you move RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley. Well, now you have Giannis, you have Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, Poeltl, all the depth. It's still a solid team. I wouldn't necessarily call that a gutted team, but it is important to note, yes, the developments that have come out have said that Giannis has not requested a trade. The Bucks don't want to trade him. So unless that changes, he's not getting moved. Like, the Bucks are not going to come out and say we want to trade Giannis. If Giannis asks for one, then something can happen. But until Giannis asks for one, no trade is going to happen. So at this point, we've hit a bit of a standstill on the motion around Giannis. But financially, Milwaukee are in a tough spot because they're not really contenders this year, and they need to cut some salary. So it'll be interesting to see how they plan on doing that. They are not a cap space team at the moment. Next comment comes from, I believe that's Darshan Siva 6074, a bit of a long one here, but they say, I don't agree with the approach to go big game hunting. For one, we don't have a proven roster to do that. Second, the new salary cap rules will punish teams for building teams that way. I would rather make a trade for someone like Darius Garland instead for Quickley, a young piece and picks. Make another trade with Spurs for one of Jeremy Sohan or Keldon Johnson or Devin Vassell for RJ, and also shed some salary. Use a mid-level exception to go after someone like Nickeil Alexander-Walker or even Naz Reid. Naz Reid probably won't be available, and if he is, he would cost a lot. Yeah, okay, thank you. But would be a perfect center around Scotty and Brandon Ingram. Gone are the days of super teams and big threes. You need depth and well-balanced roster to win with the new salary cap rules. So a couple things on this one. As for trading for somebody like Darius Garland, I do agree that Darius Garland is better than Immanuel Quickley, but I'm not sure to the what level is he better than Immanuel Quickley. He is better. I'm not denying that. Like, Garland when he's healthy is an all-star caliber point guard, but is it really worth losing Quickley and additional picks to make what is not what I would call like a super significant upgrade in the point guard position? I'm not so sure. Trading RJ Barrett for the likes of like a Devin Vassell or like who was mentioned here, Keldon Johnson. Like, no way. Devin Vassell I like. Keldon Johnson, no way. Jeremy Sohan, not sure that's an improvement on RJ Barrett stylistically or just like straight up apples to apples. I don't think Sohan is a better player than RJ Barrett at this present point. So I wouldn't really go about doing that. And as for like mid-level exception, did they say? Yeah, mid-level exception for Nickeil Alexander or Naz Reid. Yeah, mid-level exception is not affording either of those players. And as much as you could say Nickeil Alexander-Walker is Canadian, would he want to come play for Canada's team? I don't know, but the Raptors have never been able to bet on free agency, and I don't think all of a sudden, given besides the fact that we are in a financially constricted area where we don't have the salary cap to actually go and get a player in free agency, I don't think this is the year where they can start banking on free agents to come to the team and make significant improvements. So there's no way they can afford Naz Reid. I really don't think they're affording Nickeil Alexander-Walker either. And I don't even know if those players would want to come to Toronto, even if the Raptors could afford those players. So for me, I just don't really agree with what the comment is saying here. Before we go to the next comment, I want to let you guys know about Amateur merch. If you like the shirt you see me wearing, Amateur Sports. If you like the hat with the AH logo, we've got merch. Check the link at the top of the description to go to my Kijiji page and message me over there, and we can sort out getting you some merch. Even with the Canada Post strike, I can still ship you out merch. I do not go through Canada Post. We have the hats right here in white, but we have the exact same hat available in black as well. We have the t-shirts that you see here with most sizes still available. And we also have stickers, which you can check out there as well. It would mean a lot if you did support the channel and get some really nice quality pieces in return as well. I think it's a win-win. You're supporting the channel and you're getting some cool stuff. Please check out the Kijiji link in the description below and get yourself some amateur hour merch today. There is no better way to support myself directly and the channel. But let's move on to the next question here. These comments now come from the video I did regarding Khaman Maluach and if the Raptors should draft him. I was in agreement with the masses in thinking that Khaman Maluach would be a great selection for the Raptors. We have a David Sam 993 saying, when I watched the playoff this season, I can say defense is more important than offense to win it all. We really need a 7-foot defensive-minded center if we want to go deep in the playoffs next season. So I'm not really like making this trade necessarily to make a deep, or this selection to make a deep run in the playoffs next season as far as like getting a 7-foot defensive-minded center. Like we have a 7-foot center who is very good on defense already. But in general, like I am very much buying into the rim protecting center being the mold of the NBA, at least for the near future. And Khaman Maluach fits into that profile big time and fits into like the exact profile of what I want for the Raptors to have as a backup center. And with the incredible upside that he has, like I'm a big fan of selecting him. I do share the sentiment that that's where the NBA is headed. So that's part of the reason why I do like Khaman Maluach, but I'm really a big fan of the upside that Maluach has, as were many people in the comments. Not everyone was a fan, though. We have Lilland Review saying point guard position isn't solid. I did say in the video that if there was a positional need for the Raptors, it was backup center because they've got plenty of shooting guards forwards. I said point guard was solid because they have Quickley, who is the starting point guard. Shed is a solid piece off the bench. Like there's a starter I like and a backup that I like. For center, there is a starter I like, but no backup that I like. Anyways, unless Quickley can stay healthy, Off Night was our best point guard, and now he's gone. I got to tell you, if Davion Mitchell was the Raptors' best point guard, he would still be a Raptor. He's not in the same level or close to it as Immanuel Quickley. He just isn't. That's objective. Immanuel Quickley is a much better player than Davion Mitchell. And if Davion Mitchell really was like that much better than Jamal Shed, he would also still be a Raptor right now. The Raptors felt like there wasn't that big of a difference between Shed and Mitchell. I would honestly wager that Shed outplayed Mitchell in the Raptors uniform. I know Mitchell has played really well with the Heat, but in their time in Toronto, I would wager Shed outplayed Mitchell. And Mitchell was actually getting some like coach's decision did not plays in Toronto before we got traded. So I am absolutely not on board with what that comment is saying here. Shed is pretty good, but ready to lead our team, asking a lot from him. Well, good news is Quickley's the starting point guard. Shed is a backup, so he doesn't need to lead our team. So, yeah, we don't have to worry about this one. Next one comes from Blah345 saying, this is still under the Chomche video, by the way. This is still under the Maluach video, excuse me. Blah345 says, wasn't Ulrich Chomche supposed to be the next Giannis? No, I don't know of anybody saying that. I have no idea where that's coming from. No, no. To answer the question. After failing with Christian Koloko and Brandon Carlson, the Raptors may have bigger problems than most fans realize. Okay. So Christian Koloko, I'm upset the Raptors let him go, considering he was back for the start of the next season. Didn't have really any role with the Lakers this season, but that would have been a nice player to have on the Raptors roster, I think, this season. But like Koloko didn't work out because he had a blood clot issue and couldn't play basketball, and his career was at risk. Should they have given up on him as they did? I don't really think so, but that's why it didn't work out in Toronto. As for Brandon Carlson was a 25-year-old undrafted free agent. Like, what are we talking about? Like Raptors have bigger problems. The fact that wasn't working. Like, I don't really understand what any of this comment's saying. Like, I don't know how what this has to do with Maluach. Maluach is probably already further along than Ulrich Chomche is, And Koloko and Carlson have no correlation to how Malauch can do in Toronto. Before we go to our final batch of comments, another thing to remind you guys of, the Amateur Sports Discord is active. You can go to the link in the description right now to check out the Amateur Hour Sports Discord. Join the great community over there. Chat some ball with some other members of the community and myself directly. Let's bump up the Discord. Get into the link in the description. Join the Amateur Discord today. All right, last batch of comments come from the Derik Queen video I did. So I did a Derik Queen draft profile video. Spoiler alert, I'm not too enticed by Derik Queen. And there is a person who agrees with me here. RD Vaughn 4541 says, you've nailed my concerns about Queen. Far too many red flags. If you watch the playoffs and players that are not strong defensively either get benched or hurt the team. Thank you for being a voice of reason. So thank you for the comment. You're allowed to disagree with me, but I'm happy that somebody saw my point of view as well, and hopefully I articulated and shared it as best as I could. But essentially, my concern for Derik Queen is he is a very paint-oriented player on offense who doesn't really have a jump shot, can't really shoot the three, and on defense, he can't really defend the perimeter or the rim. Like, he's kind of a player who doesn't really have a fit or a place, it seems, right now, other than being this big offensive hub and big offensive engine. Like, if he's not that, he's a player who will struggle to impact offensively and can't impact defensively. And the way I have to evaluate prospects right now, and I'm looking to playoffs as well and thinking, could this prospect hang in a Game 7 or an NBA Finals game? And I look at Derik Queen and think, he's just interior-oriented on offense. He's not spacing the floor. He's got to, get his own shot down low. And on defense, he can't protect the rim. I just struggle to see that sort of player having tons of value in that setting. Now, again, it would have to be, he has to be the offensive hub, and he has to be, a significant player in offense to remain on the floor. But that just leaves such a low floor for him in the NBA. It does leave, a good ceiling, but it leaves a very low floor. In the lower end of what that player can achieve, he is unplayable in a playoff setting, which is part of my concern for the player. Next comment comes from Smooth Brown Man, who says, Queen doesn't want to be a Raptor man. In pre-draft interviews, he was already complaining about taxation in Toronto. Not worth the risk for a guy that's already mentally checked out on the team, man. So Derik Queen did make some comments about, he was asked about getting drafted potentially by the Raptors, and he said, don't they have high taxes? I don't know. I kind of brushed it off. He kind of brushed the question off. I didn't really read too much into the question, but I guess it doesn't help and doesn't make you want to draft him more. But I don't know. I wouldn't read too much into those sorts of comments. The next two comments are similar here. I'll read them together. We have Iceman Like Gervin, who says, this pick will either be Malauch or Queen. If they are on the board, bet on it. Malauch has been getting mocked, going as high as 4 to the Hornets. Queen is a perfect fit for Darko's read and react ball movement offense. Plus, any concerns about the defense can be alleviated with his work ethic and high basketball IQ. And then we have Ryan K794, who also talks about Darko in this one, says, I personally don't want to draft a big at 9, but I like Queen. Fun player to watch and think he's got top 5 ceiling in this draft. He's not positive defensively at this point, but probably makes sense offensively under Darko's scheme. So, under Darko's scheme, sure, Begu's a good playmaker, strong at passing. That's fine. Good interior scorer. It would be helpful for the Darko Rajakovic system to have a big like Queen coming off the bench, but also it would be very helpful to have a good center who can protect the rim on the defensive end of the floor, which he cannot do. And I don't think that any level of basketball IQ is going to alleviate the athleticism concerns and the defensive rim protection concerns that I have for him. So I don't think the IQ and work ethic is going to alleviate that. I do see why on the offensive end people are drawn to him, absolutely. But to not be like a super strong finisher at the rim and above the rim finisher, and to not have the floor spacing element to his game, that is a slight concern for me on offense, but the bigger concerns for me come on defense, and I don't think that's something I can really look past. Last one comes from @CurtisBanks7655, says, honestly, even if Khaman Malauch was available, and we're talking about 9th overall, I have a feeling Masai will surprise us. Yeah, there's other good players available. There's Carter Bryant, there's Noah Nsenge. There are good players. There are a lot of good players, and there's plenty of good players I'd be happy with. I'm not even saying I'd be unhappy with Derik Queen. I give my opinion based on the information that I have and the evidence that I see, but I got to tell you, Masai Ujiri and the Raptors team, they've got a hell of a lot more evidence and experience than me, so at the end of the day, I'm going to trust their judgment.